And Jen is going to be timing. So it helps if you look up a little bit every once in a while. Otherwise, I will pipe in that first I'll say thank you, and then I'll come over and grab the mic. No. The candidates drew lots to determine the order of opening statements. It will be the reverse order for closing statements. And before we go on, I do have something to say. The League of Women Voters of New Jersey, a nonpartisan political organization, encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. As you may know, elections and voting are the core concerns for the League of Women Voters, and we are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and the positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. This year, the League in New Jersey has worked very diligently to get candidates to participate in a website called vote411.org. If you input your address, you will pull up a ballot that will start at the president and list all the candidates and give background information, and I think they answered questions that were submitted to them. It will also give you information on your congressional candidates, and then the candidates running for office in Bergen County. We'll also have information on the 2 ballot questions. I did run off a couple of copies of each of the ballot questions. They're on the table with the pencils and the cards. Even though they look the same, one is for the Transportation Trust Fund and the other one is for the casinos question. As a courtesy to the candidates, please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices now and refrain from taking photographs during the debate. This is being taped by the Saddlebrook TV, and it will be streamed live. Is it being streamed live? Or just appear on your local TV station periodically? So, okay, if you still want to, you can write some questions. I do have quite a few here. We may not get them all posed to the candidates. So we're going to start with opening statements, and the first one is Timothy White. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Tim White. I am a lifelong resident of Saddlebrook. I went to Long Memorial Elementary School on Floral Lane. From kindergarten through 6th grade, at Long Memorial School, I learned some of the skills that I view as most valuable still to me today, whether that be academic, things that I've learned, or just study habits or social skills that I have learned and still use to this day. I went to Saddlebrook Middle School and Saddlebrook High School. I'm proud to call myself a member of the graduating class of 2008. Right before I graduated, luckily, I discovered my passion for working with and teaching children, and really just people in general. So I went to the College of New Jersey, where I was a student athlete, and I double majored in elementary education and math, science, technology. Upon graduation in 4 years, I immediately received a teaching job in Bloomfield, which is in Essex County, New Jersey, as a 6th grade math teacher. I am still in the exact same school. I recently received tenure, while also I have been coaching winter and spring track in various towns for the last 4 years in Montclair, Bloomfield, and even Saddlebrook. Aside from just teaching and coaching, I also went to graduate school at the American College of Education, and I received my master's degree in educational leadership. So I view it as my responsibility to this town to give back to the community that I grew up in and that has treated me so kindly. I really look forward to answering your questions tonight, and thank you all for being here.
Next, And if you hold your applause to the end, we'll get to more questions and more answers from the candidates. Joseph Zottarelli is our next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Zottarelli. I'm a first-time candidate for the Board of Education. I've lived in Saddlebrook for 25 years. I've been married for 29 years to Sylvia Zottarelli, who is the current Board of Ed president. I have 4 children and 3 grandchildren. 3 of my children went to a Saddlebrook school system. I'm a Vietnam veteran, a lifetime member of the VFW. During my 25 years I've lived in town, I have volunteered for numerous town functions and have coached many recreational sports. I was a union steward for 5 years at the U.S. Post Office and have experience with union contracts. I was a president of the Condo Association for 3 years and was responsible for preparing the yearly budget and monitoring all maintenance of the buildings. I also was maintenance supervisor at the U.S. Post Office and was responsible for hiring maintenance personnel and scheduling all shifts. I am currently retired from Verizon after 25 years. I am not associated with any union and have no conflicts of interest, which enables me to vote on every issue and to be on any committee. I do believe we are in need of a diversified board and non-conflicted people to serve. Some of the reasons for my running are to continue moving forward with the student achievement, be fiscally responsible with the budget and spending, and to be dedicated to keeping the lines of communication open between the board and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is David Garrick.
Hello, my name is David Garrick. I'm a 13-year resident of Saddlebrook. I graduated Paramus Catholic High School. I went on to William Patterson, got a degree in business administration with a specialization in marketing. I went on to become a teacher in the Garfield School District, where I now work for the past 20 years as a teacher. I continued my education by getting my first master's degree from Keene University in instruction and curriculum with a specialization in math, science, and computer science. I went on to get my second master's degree from New Jersey City University in educational leadership. I have my principal certification and my supervisor's certification from the Department of Education, State of New Jersey. I've been teaching, like I said, for the past 20 years. My first 10 years was as an elementary teacher. I taught 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. My next 10 years was as a middle school math teacher, where I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I currently work in the Garfield Recreation Department in the after-school program, where I've been for the past 15 years working with K-5 students. I'm running for re-election in order to continue to support our administration, teachers, staff, and parents to help the students succeed and reach high levels of success and achievement here in Saddlebrook. I appreciate you people coming out. I appreciate everyone coming out this evening. And I look forward to answering everyone's questions. Thank you.
Michael Accomando.
Good evening. Michael Accomando, number 5 on the ballot. I don't have the extensive education they do, but I do have one thing they don't: children in our school district. I have a 10-year-old in 5th grade, a 5-year-old in kindergarten, 2 nephews in our district. And that said, over the past 3 years, I have fought tooth and nail for students in our district to be given the education they deserve and are entitled to. I'm an advocate against bullying, and I am fighting for the right decisions to be made for our children more than anyone will ever know. I have never, nor I will, make selfish decisions. We need to implement more effective bullying prevention efforts. We have revamped our curriculums. We've increased our scores, which we have done, but none of it will matter if we have children who do not feel complete. Our taxpayers are counting on our board to make decisions for the kids, their friends' kids, and their neighbors' kids. Many steps have been taken to improve bullying issues. But I couldn't sleep at night if I didn't feel I made the right decisions. The students have always come first for me. IEPs and 504 accommodations for students need to be more closely adhered to and monitored. Our district has made progress and I stand behind all of my decisions over the past 3 years. I have made many educated decisions and I thought about carefully and even researched when necessary. I have kept the community members in mind always. I stand behind every word, action, and decision. Jeez. I hope to serve another 3-year term in the district. I want to do the right thing by everyone. 3 years ago, I sat up here and spoke with honesty. I meant every word I said then, and I mean it now. And the one thing you need to do is to have an effective education is put the kids first. Thank you.
And our last candidate is Angela Robinson.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending this candidates' night, and thanks to the PTA, PTOs for putting this evening together. My name is Angela Robinson, and I have been a resident of Saddlebrook for 25 years. I have been involved in the community for over 20 years, beginning with the Franklin School PTA, the Saddlebrook Educational Foundation, and the Saddlebrook Board of Education. I'm a certified special education and general education teacher, and currently work as a learning consultant as part of the child study team. I don't know if this is going to be a question later, but I figured I'd start here, deciding why did I decide to run? I decided to run for the Board of Education again, basically due to concerns of the superintendent turnover this past year and the desire to continue the progress that was started with our past 2 superintendents and to restore pride and stability to Saddlebrook. I love Saddlebrook, and I want the best for our residents and our students. As an educator and past Board of Education trustee, I get nervous, I feel I have the knowledge and experience to assist our district in moving forward. I also have served on the Board of Education Budget Committee for many years in the past, and I'm aware of the challenges we face with funding and with tax increases. Our budgets have to provide the best education that we can afford, and we need to be fiscally responsible to the taxpayers. I have experience in this area. We have wonderful parents, teachers, staff, and administration here, and we need to all work together toward the same goals. The Board of Education, as community representatives, and the superintendent as the educational expert must cooperate and collaborate to effectively manage. I feel that my experience can be beneficial to the Saddlebrook community.
Okay, we're going to start with our first question, and it's going to be addressed first to the 3 challengers. So we're going to start with Mr. Zattarelli, and it's a 2-parter. How many Board of Ed meetings have you attended in the last year, and what would be your 2 priorities if you are elected to the Board of Education? And it's 1.5 minutes to answer.
Okay, I attended 5 Board of Ed meetings in the last year. And one of my priorities, if elected, will be to straighten out the lunch program because there's a lot of problems with the company that is handling it. And another priority, I'm not in favor of the school uniforms. They're not enforced, so I don't understand why to have to force the uniform issue on the parents.
Okay, Mr. White.
Thank you. As far as Saddlebrook Board of Education meetings, I have been to 2 in this school year. As a teacher in Bloomfield, I have also been to 3 of the Bloomfield Board of Education meetings, one of which to celebrate one of my students who won a statewide competition for mathematics. If I get onto the Saddlebrook Board of Education, I think that there's obviously more than just 2 problems or 2 things that need to be worked on, but I think that one would be to be a part of the process of hiring and maintaining a high-quality superintendent. As you heard one of the other candidates say before, that is an extremely high prioritized thing that the Board of Education needs to do, because if we don't have a superintendent, we don't have somebody running the entire town, and that is exceptionally necessary. Other than that, I really look forward to collaborating with the fellow board members and deciding what we can do with the budgeting and what policies need to be changed so that the school can ultimately run more smoothly.
Ms. Robinson.
Hi. I don't know how many I've been to. I'm part of the Educational Foundation, so I come to quite a few. So I'm not really sure, maybe, I don't know, 8, 10, I'm not really sure. And the issues that I feel facing our district, in my opinion, first and foremost, is hiring a quality superintendent who's going to be committed and dedicated to staying here and moving us forward and continue the progress we have made. And secondly, is to keep our budget, be very fiscally responsible in our budgeting and make sure, the taxpayers get the best for their money.
And Mr. Accomando, what would be your 2 priorities if you were reelected?
Maintain student achievement, which we have. And of course, the superintendent. It's hard to keep a superintendent with a 2% cap. But we're doing what we could with that cap, and we'll be successful within the upcoming months.
And Mr. Garrick?
I would think first and foremost for the district is to get us a quality superintendent, like everyone else said here. And to get someone, you have to support them, you have to respect them, you have to be willing to work with them. And I've shown that I could do that in the past. I will continue to do that in the future if elected. In addition, the budget obviously is a huge concern. Taxes went up greatly here in Saddlebrook this year. We got to make sure we're spending our money wisely. We're obviously under a 2% cap. There were some issues with tax appeals and so forth, but moving forward, we really have to watch our nickels and dimes. And if reelected, I will do that. Thank you.
Okay. As a follow-up question, and we'll start with Ms. Robinson. The district is seeking a full-time superintendent. What qualifications do you think make an exemplary superintendent?
Okay, well, first and foremost, what I feel is a superintendent who is vision-oriented, who has a vision for the district and is willing to do what it takes to move the district in that vision, but someone who collaborates with all the administration and the staff to work together to create that vision and to work toward it. Someone I feel who would have experience in some sort as a superintendent capacity, just because I feel that would be necessary. I also think a superintendent should be visible, they should be fair, they should be open-minded, but I also feel working together and opening lines of communication between the staff and community is important also. Obviously, the educational background, but that's taken for granted. I mean, we know what a superintendent needs to have, so thank you.
Mr. Accomando?
Well, I think he should be exactly what we have now in Mr. Riccia. He's awesome. He's approachable. He's transparent. Unlike the guy they wanted to bring in before him, which unfortunately had a criminal record that some people wanted to have or accept. But I think that we need to stick with someone that's all here for the kids and the right reasons. And that's it.
Okay. Mr. White?
Obviously, Mrs. Robinson explained if you are a superintendent, you are obviously highly educated. So, that would be the first thing to look at possibly where they went to school, and moving on, it's preferable for them to have some experience if they have worked in similar school districts in the past. See what they've done there, see how the student achievement has gone up or gone down, and see what policies have changed and how they reviewed overall. Other than that, they do need high-end interpersonal skills. The superintendent not only speaks with the administrators, but speaks with the staff and speaks with members of the community. So you do want a superintendent that does know how to speak to people and can explain things to high educators as well as just to members of the community. And also you want a superintendent that has a bright vision for the future, has a plan to increase student achievement, and documents their plans and what they want to do so that we can see the progress moving forward.
Mr. Garrick?
Superintendent, some qualities would be obviously someone that's honest and hardworking, approachable with strong communication skills, experience with quality special needs programs for our students, someone that's committed to the district, extensive knowledge of instruction and curriculum so they're a resource to our students and as well as teachers, someone who's highly qualified, with experience and proven educational leadership. Thank you.
And Mr. Zottarelli.
It's hard to add to any of that, but the superintendent really has to be able to work with the board more than anyone else and understand that he works for the board and the board doesn't work for him. And we've had a lot of superintendents that thought they ran everything and wanted the board to just fall under his thumb. And that's why we were in the trouble we were in for a long time. And we finally got a superintendent that is moving the district forward, although he's an interim. And we have to try to look for a superintendent that has the experience that the one that we currently have in position to keep us moving forward.
Okay. Next question. In your opinion, what has the district done well over the last 3 years? And we'll start with Mr. Garrick.
I think first and foremost was passing the referendum, which really improved the facilities. Also, student achievement. We've done a good job with student achievement with the programs that we've instituted, such as Reader's Workshop, Writer's Workshop. We're trying to bring in the best qualified candidates for all positions, which I feel is huge for our district. We need to reach out and bring in the best qualified individuals to work for us in the district. And we'll continue to do those things moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Zottarelli.
The district, from what I understand, has finally started training the teachers in teaching PARCC. They've improved the test scores. They've finally passed QSEC. And there's been some improvement with security. Or they got a new security system, so they can keep track of what's going on around the school.
Finished?
And they also just added a curriculum, which we haven't had for a while. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson.
So I feel that in the past 2 years, we have improved student achievement. We had really low test scores a couple of years ago, but this year the test scores are up. I think that original PARCC testing, a lot of students did not take it. Our averages were not typical or really representative of our quality students. I think that's what happened in the first go-round. We revamped the curriculum. That's been going on by hiring supervisors in the different areas in the district. We've revamped our guidance department to help more with college career-ready skills and to help students when they go forward, to college and or whatever career that they have decided to do. And passing the referendum, 2 years ago, I was actually part of that committee. I was on the board at that time, and that was wonderful because of the security and all the things that we've done to help in the district. Thanks.
Mr. Accomando.
For me, the most important thing that we did in the last 3 years was full-day kindergarten. Then we also implemented guidance counselors in all our buildings. They started with professional development workshops for all the teachers, so it's better collaborative time for all of them. And there is continuity throughout all the schools. And to agree with Ms. Robinson, she did help out with the referendum, and she did a fantastic job with that. And, that we just got to keep going forward what we've continued to add in there.
Mr. White.
Well, obviously, everything that they said are things that the Saddlebrook School District has done extremely well. Not only have we improved student achievement, but something that I saw just from the Board of Education meetings that I went to is that we are celebrating student achievement. So after the PARCC fiasco 2 years ago, we were really at the bottom end of public schools. And now after the students actually tried and worked very hard, Saddlebrook became in the top 50% of public schools, which was a huge jump, one of the biggest jumps by any public school in the state. And we celebrated that. I believe that the administration gave the students a dress down day, party, and that the students really deserve that. Other than that, not only just for the school district, I wanted to commend the actual teachers for persisting through a high turnover superintendent school district. It's not easy if you have a lot of curriculums getting thrown at you, having to change the curriculum, change your lesson plans every year. And these teachers really just worked hard, and their love of working with the children and seeing the students improve never diminished. So they continued to work hard, and I think that we owe it to them to really get a great superintendent so that the district can continue moving forward.
Okay, we are running through these questions rather easily. Nobody's been pushing the time limit. I commend you. Question, our music department needs support financially to buying instruments and having teacher assistants' salaries. How will you plan on financially meeting these needs? And let's start with Mr. White.
Well, obviously the music department is extremely important. Focusing on fine arts like theater and music is exceptionally important because those are skills that some children are really good at math, some children are really good at track and field, and some children are wonderful with instruments. So we need to provide them with the opportunities necessary so that they can flourish and they can go to Saddlebrook High School and middle school and the elementary schools and learn just as much as if they went to any other school district. As far as budgeting, I can't tell you what numbers can be thrown out and where we can move the money. The only thing that I could say is that as a board member, I will carefully look at the budget. About 85% of the budget is fixed, so there's really only 15% of the budget that you can work with. From there, you need to work with your peers and with your fellow Board of Ed members and whoever else is relevant, all other stakeholders, see where you can allocate that money and see what is important and what needs to be done in order to prioritize that and to raise the funds necessary to get a program like that and make one that we're proud of.
Thank you. Mr. Garrick.
As Mr. White said, the music department is extremely important. They do a lot of great things. Students thoroughly enjoy it. They're very engaged, and it's a huge program. They participated in the 9/11 ceremony at the town. They participate in all the football games. And again, it's extremely important that we support them in any way we can. In regards to budgeting, obviously, we have to prioritize where we spend our money. If there was any way to get a grant to help us, that would be something that we could look into doing to try to bring in additional monies. We all know that with the 2% cap, it's extremely difficult, to add new monies to programs. It really is hard. But if we could bring in a grant or monies other than through the budget, it would be a great resource for the music department. Thank you.
Mr. Accomando.
I do agree with the grants. Also, I know they do a lot of fundraising, so I don't see why that wouldn't be a problem to continue to do more fundraising for, you said instruments, right?
Yes.
It's a very promising subject in schools. The arts are awesome. The kids love it. They've won countless awards, and we've got to continue to fund them any way we can.
Ms. Robinson.
Yeah, I'm a family of musicians in my house, so music is really important. I would think for funding instruments, there could be creative ways maybe in the community to get some type of grants, funding. I was thinking even possibly students who do not use their instruments anymore to donate them back to the school and maybe, trade them in and get them refurbished or whatever we could do for that. Also, here's my plug for the Educational Foundation to put some kind of program in place that would be helpful, to help with the instruments. I don't remember the first part of the question, though. I know it was about funding for the instruments, and then I don't remember those.
Teacher assistant salaries.
Well, teacher assistant salaries, I think, would be part of the budget and something that would have to go through the actual, district. But outside of that, to be creative and find ways to fund it in other ways, through the community, through donation programs, through the foundation.
Mr. Zottarelli?
Okay, I guess everybody hit on most of it. The budget, you can't really do too much with. It's pretty tight. You're going to have to look for donations. The VFW does a lot of donating to the town and to the schools. If you can get instruments any way possible from people that are not using them, you got to just get it out there and ask for help.
Okay. This one is specifically for you, Mr. Zottarelli, and it's not just one person asking. Do you believe there is a conflict of interest having a husband and wife on the Board of Education? If not, what are your reasons? I guess, what are your reasons for running?
Well, obviously, whoever asked that question isn't married, because if they were, they would know that you never always agree with your wife or your husband. So I don't see any conflict of interest. If I don't agree, I don't agree. And that's it.
Okay. Next question, which is open to everyone. Would any of you be open to a yearly survey of the citizens of our community that addresses how we feel about how our community and schools are doing? Would you then share the results? Let's start with Mr. Garrick.
I'm 100% in favor of that. The more input we can get from our community, the better it is for us up here knowing what our community is looking for. We're here to work for the people here in Saddlebrook. That's why I'm running for re-election also. It's because I want to work for the parents and the taxpayers. So when we hear things from you that you're happy with, that's great. We celebrate that, we support that. When we hear things that you're not happy with, we want to change it and make it better. So doing that yearly would be a great idea. I would be 100% in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. White.
I am 100% for that. In education, database decisions are the reason why education is where it is today. You need to test something, see if it's working. If it is, great, how can you improve it? If it's not, why isn't it working and how can you improve it? So I think that aside from the students being the most important thing in the town, I think that the way that the members of the community view the school system and view the administrators and the Board of Education is extremely important. So we need to take your decisions into consideration and take your ideas, and if we can brainstorm and make everybody happy, then that's ideal. So of course we should definitely try to conduct some surveys and analyze some data so that we can move forward with the school district.
Ms. Robinson.
So I would definitely be for that also. I really believe in the whole survey thing and getting input from all stakeholders all throughout the community. Surveys are great, and they're great as a means for measuring and monitoring how we're doing, to be able to see the positive and possibly, the negative, and to see ways that we can improve, because I think that's really important. And especially if they're like those survey monkeys online, and it's anonymous and everybody can only do it one time, so it's a good representation of our community. I think that would be great. And also to include the teachers and even the students in that, I think would be a good idea.
Mr. Zottarelli.
I am in favor of that also. There's always good ideas coming from the community. And students also, they always have good ideas because they're there. They're in the front lines. They know what's going on and what might help. And also teachers.
Mr. Accomando.
I also agree 100%. Unfortunately, we already have an amateur type of thing like that. It's called Facebook and Twitter. But hopefully we can get it done professionally and do it the right way.
Okay. We've heard mention of PARCC a lot tonight, but apparently there may be some people out there who don't know what PARCC means. So if the first one who's going to answer this question could mention what it stands for, perhaps that might be helpful. But the question is, how do you feel about the PARCC test, and why do you feel it is important or not important to teach for the PARCC test? And let's start with Ms. Robinson.
Okay. PARC, I don't remember what it stands for, really.
It's PARCC,
Yes,
and it's initials for something
Right.
having to do with the Common Core.
So what it is years ago, we used to have the New Jersey Ask testing to be a monitoring of the students' achievement and to use it as a tool for driving instruction. It changed over to the PARCC testing a few years ago. It's computer-based and not a hand-scored test. And the rest of the question was, how do I feel about teaching toward it, or what was it? Okay.
Or is it important or not important?
So the Common Core is what drove the PARCC testing to come into place. And the Common Core, as we all know, is a different way of teaching, a different way of understanding, and kids trying to expand on how they can explain what they're doing, which is great. So I don't have many seconds left. So with that, I don't think we should teach to the test. I think students should practice just to be able to navigate the test, but I believe our curriculum and our instruction should really touch on all the aspects that make up for good instruction and education.
Mr. Zattarella?
Okay, the PARCC is good in a way because it monitors what the kids are learning, and they can use it to see where they're weak and where they're strong. I don't agree with them using it as a test when you need to pass it to graduate.
You always amaze me. Your answers are so short that I'm not ready for the next person. Wow. Anyway, Mr. White.
I believe PARCC stands for Partnership for the Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers. I will say that's a very difficult question to ask, but ultimately the Common Core standards are new standards, and a lot of parents have been very upset with them because they basically took material that was in, let's say, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and they put it down into 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. So that 4th grader and 5th grader, they sort of began to struggle, as you probably saw if you have children that are in those age groups. Ultimately, I think the most important letters in PARCC are the 2 C's. They want to get the children ready for college and careers. And ultimately, what they want the children to be able to do is not only be able to put their nose to the paper and solve these problems, they want them to collaborate with each other and explain to one another why this is the answer and how they got that answer. It really is exceptionally discovery-based, and I can tell you from the mathematics curriculum that I teach was very difficult the first year, because it took those students that put their nose to the paper on everything, and it really made them struggle because A, the work is harder, and B, they can't do it by themselves and they're working together. So as we analyze the data, we are continuing to improve not only in Saddlebrook but in schools all across the state and country. Students are starting to get a little more comfortable with it, as are teachers, and I think we just need to stick with the Common Core and persevere, and in about a year or 2, we will start seeing some really, really tremendous results.
Thank you. Mr. Accomando?
As far as PARCC being important or not important, I think that's a decision for the parents to make. Again, to judge a child on a test score or taking tests is tough because it doesn't really get them for social skills, I guess, in the real world. But me as a parent, I don't mind it.
Okay. And Mr. Garrick?
Okay. Thanks to Mr. White, we all know what PARCC stands for now, which is good. Standardized testing is a necessary evil. Until someone comes up with a better way to measure student achievement and if schools are being effective, I'm a teacher, I don't particularly care for it, but it's, like I said, it's a necessary evil. It's a way to hold administration and teachers accountable, which in some ways is good. You know, we got to make sure that everybody's working in the classrooms. And again, it measures student achievement, which the teachers could then in turn use to drive instruction, which they could see where they're maybe weak, what they need to improve. They look at test scores, they look at the data, and then they could use it to better their instruction. So in that way, I feel it's very good. Thank you.
The question says, what would you say is our school district's biggest challenge this year I would like to put it that ruling out the search for a permanent superintendent, what is the district's biggest challenge this year? And let's start with Mr. Accomando.
You would have to get school security. When parents drop their kids off, you want to know that your kids are safe and well looked after. So other than the superintendent search, I think that would be the best thing for the school security.
And Mr. Garrick.
I would say our budget. With a 2% cap, I keep saying it. I know how difficult this budget was this year. It's going to only get more difficult. As of January 1st, the health benefits are going up another 8%. We work under a 2% cap. I think that budget moving forward is going to continue to be a struggle. Also, retaining quality personnel here in the schools. We're losing a lot of really good teachers, and we've got to ask ourselves why that's happening, and we've got to stop it from happening. We're training all these teachers, spending so much of our money, getting them trained, and they're leaving us after 1, 2, 3 years. I believe we have to support our teachers, we have to respect our teachers, we have to pay our teachers fairly. And if we do those things, I think we're going to retain them. But those are the two things that I think. Thank you very much.
Mr. Zottarelli.
Well, I think that keep the training going for the teachers so our test scores keep improving. Because PARCC is so important right now. Not that I agree with how to use it, but they use it to improve test scores. They use it to see how the students are doing as far as where their weaknesses are and where their strengths are. So, and the teachers have to be trained for that. So I would say continue the training for the teachers, and hopefully the test scores will go up.
Mr. White.
So obviously we can't answer with saying hiring and retaining a superintendent. That would have been probably all of our first answers. I think that just going one level down, hiring or retaining just highly functional and really great staff and administration. So we obviously want to keep the great staff that we have. We need to make sure that our administrators are working diligently enough to keep the door moving if there's a teacher that's not doing what they should. Other than that, just being at the last board meeting, looking at all the professional development workshops that these teachers are going to, I think in the next year, something that it's minimal, but there will be a lot of teacher absences. My first year, I had to go to 10 professional developments. That's 10 full days that I missed, aside from the fact that I was sick or any personal days. And that's just a lot of time for the actual classroom teacher to be out of the room. Now, it's not really a big problem because, obviously they're learning stuff that's exceptionally valuable, and for future years it's really important, and they will be in the classroom. But it's sort of a minor bad thing this year happening from a great thing that they're getting the professional development they need.
Okay. And Ms. Robinson.
I will agree with Mr. Garrick. I think the budget is truly the biggest challenge, and I think it's always one of the biggest challenges every year. We have rising costs, rising health benefits, special education costs. We have so many things that really affect our budget. And we really, being on the budget committee all the years I've been on, we in Saddlebrook, our money, we don't have a lot of money. Some districts have a lot of money, I know, because I work in one. And I'm like, wow, and we don't have that. So when I see it, I'm like, we really have to work really hard to keep our budget where we need to have it with the 2% cap and keep our costs down. And sometimes it's really, really difficult. And I always think that's one of the biggest challenges.
Okay. Next question. What has the school district done poorly that you would change? And let's start with Mr. Garrick.
Retaining quality people, starting with the superintendent. We had an excellent superintendent, in my opinion, Dr. Richard Katz. He's no longer with us. Upon leaving, he stated to us, what I'm looking to do and what you're looking to do are two different things. And he walked out the door. He got a job in about 2 minutes. He could have went to a lot of districts. With the salary cap on superintendents, it's very, very difficult to get a quality superintendent. Extremely difficult. Also retaining teachers, like I said before. We've got to retain teachers, and we've got to retain quality staff members. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson.
I think mostly like what we've done poorly, I don't like to look at the negative, but I think is having a superintendent, retaining a superintendent to continue the move forward. I think, we have to move in the right direction. I think that not having the superintendent, not having someone consistent, having different people is hard. It's hard for the staff. It's hard to get used to different things going on. But I also think that we have to really be cognizant of our staff and our administration and make sure that when people do leave, maybe we know why, and to try to keep them and keep quality people here. Thanks.
Mr. White?
Just to echo what Mr. Garrick said before, retaining quality staff is definitely, in my opinion, definitely the most important thing that we need to do. We need to get a superintendent. I don't know if us saying it is actually hammering that fact home, but it's a vital necessity in order for Saddlebrook to actually be a good school district. So it's exceptionally important. It's not only with the superintendent, it's also with the teachers. And other than that, I would just say raising the overall morale of the students, staff, parents, community in general. A lot of people think that Saddlebrook is a really crummy school district, which is very unfortunate because some of the smartest people I know are Saddlebrook graduates. Some of the most talented people I know in a variety of different ways are Saddlebrook graduates. And now people on the outside looking in are actually laughing at us, and they think that it's a joke, which is horrible because it's not. We have good kids, we have smart kids, we have good people, we have smart, loving parents. So we need to make this school district better, and we need a superintendent in order to do that.
Mr. Zottarelli?
I agree with everyone about the superintendent. We have to hire one. I also think they did a poor job with the lunch program because most of the kids that are going to lunch are throwing their lunches away because the food is terrible. The company that they hired was outrageous. I mean, they get the same company for 2 years now. And last year they were terrible, and this year they're terrible. The food is disgusting, the kids won't eat it, and then they overcharge people for it. They charge you for buying stuff. You got to open an account with them. I mean, it's just a terrible company. So they need to do something to improve the lunch program for the kids.
Mr. Accomando?
I do agree also with the superintendent. Unfortunately, I don't agree with Mr. Garrick about Mr. Katz. He was great with curriculum, but he was arrogant to his staff and to the board. And as far as Mr. White saying that the school's an embarrassment, I've had people asking me how that they've heard that the schools are doing so much better that they want to take them out of their parochial schools and bring them back here, which I think is great. But the board has busted their rear end over the last 3 years to get that title. I mean, I don't know who you're talking to, but hopefully people from other demographics than our town, because, I mean, we're going in the right direction. I think we're doing great. And as a parent, to have someone say that your schools are horrible or terrible is not what you want to hear. You know, I think we're doing a good job. I think we're going forward.
Many parents in town feel like the Board of Ed does not listen, does not care about how we feel. How will you make us feel like you care? And this will be started by Mr. Zottarelli.
Well, I will be very transparent with everything I can be legally and as honest as possible. I listen to parents. Anybody has complaints, I'll bring them up at meetings, try to settle things. And the only thing you can do is listen. You should be listening to the parents because you work for them. They vote you in. And if you don't listen to them, why are you here?
Mr. Accomando?
I continue doing what I'm doing, supporting our curriculum, supporting our policy, supporting our budget, supporting the parents, the students. I'm transparent. I'm not a puppet. I'm not a yes man. I do what's best for our kids and not what's best for me. I'm not using this as a stepping stone. I'm here for one reason, and that's because I'm a concerned dad. That's it.
Ms. Robinson?
For parents to be concerned that the board doesn't listen, doesn't care, that disturbs me that people feel that way. I think that if we have some more open lines of communication, having parents to know what their chain of command is, where they start, who they go to, what should they do for this problem or that problem. I think that we have to be transparent, we have to be open-minded and listening. Board members can't always answer, but they can listen. And I think being a good listener and then bringing those concerns to the board and wherever it needs to go to would be a great thing. Because sometimes if you're approached, you really can't comment on a lot of things, but at least be able to take that information and bring it to where it needs to go so that the answers can be done or can be met. There's also a lot of legal things, what you can and cannot do and say. So I think to listen and to bring all those concerns back and try to really, really get the parents to at least get their questions answered in some way and get some kind of response.
Mr. Garrick?
One of the roles of a board member is to have two-way communication between the community and the board. I do a lot of listening. I don't have all the answers. I usually direct the person either to the superintendent, to the principal. I sent a message today to Mr. Rashika regarding Google Apps today, something that I heard out in the community that I think needs to be addressed. So I'm making the superintendent aware of concerns that parents have and the taxpayers have, and I'll continue to do that if reelected. Thank you.
Mr. White?
Community opinions are extremely important, especially in such a small town like this. I would like to add that any member of the community can come to a Board of Education meeting and speak publicly about their concerns. And in this case, instead of, in some cases, playing a game of telephone where you tell a friend who tells a friend who tells somebody on the board, you can explain to the entire board and the superintendent exactly what your concerns are. And if you do that, then the board can come up with a logical and feasible and hopefully middle ground or a solution for everyone to be happy. So obviously your opinions matter tremendously, and that's what moves the district, is the parent and community opinions. So as well, other than that, I think the other candidates spoke about this. You need to be transparent, as legally transparent as possible. There are some things that you can't talk about with members of the community just because legally, if something is not actually set in stone, you're really not supposed to talk about it. So hopefully we can respect that and have that respect for each other, and your opinions certainly do matter.
Okay. Some school boards have adopted policies regulating board member use of social media and electronic communications. What are your views on this issue? And let's start with Mr. White.
I think that if you are a member of the Board of Education or you hold some sort of job in which you are a role of power, you need to really watch what you say on social media, because the people that are your friends are not the only people seeing what you're writing, and your words are not just your words, you are representing your town. So you need to think very specifically and professionally with what you need to write, with what you chime in your opinions on, and I think that you need to know that you're not just speaking for yourself or your family, you are speaking for your town, and you need to conduct yourself professionally at all times. That being said, I'm not opposed to you having a Facebook or a Twitter. Just if you're going to do it the right way.
Mr. Garrick.
Social media, every school board workshop, which has been quite a few, and I've listened to lawyers, I've listened to superintendents talk about it. You can't voice your opinions on social media. You go right to the superintendent. You have his cell phone number. If there's something you're not happy about, and there's been things I haven't been happy about, I've reached right out to the superintendent, voiced my concerns. I've never gone on social media. I have a Facebook account, would never do it. I think it's a bad practice. Nothing good's gonna come out of it. Also, teachers and staff, we hold them accountable. What does it look like when a board member goes on there and starts complaining about the school district? If the teacher did it, they would be suspended. People would want their head. So I just feel it's a bad practice altogether, and there's nothing good that's going to come out of it. And I would reach out to the superintendent with any concerns like I've done. There's a chain of command. That's the role of a board member. Thank you.
Mr. Accomando?
I do agree that you got to be careful what you say, but to me, you have your First Amendment right. You got your right to stick up for yourself, whether you're a board member or a parent. If the chief administrator of a district's not doing their job, and parents know it, you should be able to guide them in the right direction to how to do it. If someone's ripped my child or a child on Facebook, you better damn well believe I'm going to defend them, whether it's Facebook or not. So, again, you have your First Amendment right. You're not going to go bash the heck out of your school district, but you're going to defend that child or teacher or yourself. But no, you shouldn't put out the laundry of the school district out there.
Ms. Robinson?
I feel that board members or any elected officials are held to a higher standard when you're on social media, and that, I don't think social media is actually the venue or the place to be voicing your opinions on things that pertain to the school district or things like that. If there's a problem with something somebody says on a Facebook page, I would call them up and say, what's up with this? What's going on? Don't put on social media, because some things are personal, some things other people should not see, and sometimes people just react. And sometimes those reactions are not, conducive to what an elected official should be held to a higher standard. I believe that. And again, not saying to defend or not defend, but I would use the telephone. I would go to the person personally and say, what's up with this, and not do it on social media. Also, I have in the past, I don't know if I was on the board, I have directed people, please go to a board meeting. Just go to the board meeting and express your concerns. I know I've done that. So to me, that's you could say that, okay, if you have these concerns, go to the board meeting and see what they say, or call the superintendent. But I don't think it's a venue for putting out your personal opinions on especially school-related matters. Thank you.
And Mr. Zottarelli?
I agree with what Angela said. I don't think it's a venue where you should be putting anything about the Board of Ed or the schools on. I mean, if it's your personal account, you can do what you want on it personally, but as far as Board of Ed information or anything to do with the schools or the school systems, it should be not on any social media. I have a Facebook account and I barely go on it because I don't like it.
Okay. The staff went without contracts for a year. Good staff stay where they are happy and compensated accordingly. How will you work to assure our staff has a fair contract in place before the current one expires? And let's start with Ms. Robinson.
So I know the board has a negotiations committee that works with the union in trying to develop that. I do believe in my heart that every board and every union wants to negotiate and be at a good place. I'm part of the union in my district, so I know what that's like when you don't have a contract for a year or two or three. I think that working together should be fair and equitable on both sides, and that it's something that's why it's called negotiations, to work back and forth. I think everybody deserves a fair wage, and I believe everybody should really be on the same team in trying to do that. I know contracts are difficult. I know that there's a lot of things going on. I know what it's like to be on both sides. So I just think working together and trying to reach an agreement as quickly as possible, I think, is really important.
Mr. White?
Obviously, negotiations are necessary when you're dealing with salaries of tens to hundreds of people. So I do believe that negotiations need to take place in order to make sure that staff members are happy. As said before, staff retention is exceptionally important. If a staff member has been here for many years, they understand how the school district works, they understand the curriculum, and they're comfortable, odds are they are going to teach better lessons, and you're going to see more student achievement. So negotiations do need to take place. As a member of the Bloomfield Education Association, I understand that our education association fights for our rights, fights for our salary, fights for our benefits and all things like that. These conversations need to happen, they will happen, and we hope that we can make all teachers happy so that the great teachers stay in Saddlebrook.
Mr. Zottarelli?
Well, they've got a negotiation committee that works with the union, and everybody's got to be reasonable. I mean, you got to look at different things. You got to look at the economy, how it is. You don't want to kill the taxpayers by raising taxes because you give a ridiculous contract out, but you want to keep the teachers happy also. But sometimes people are unreasonable and don't want to work with each other, so then you got to go into arbitration.
Mr. Accomando?
Over the past 15 years in my job, I've negotiated 5 contracts personally, and you have to come in with a common understanding of what you want within a 2% cap, so there's not much room to wiggle. You pretty much got to wiggle your sick time, your personal days, or your vacation days. As far as money, you can't do anything about the 2% cap right now. But as long as both sides are happy and content, you can get away with it.
And Mr. Garrick?
I've been on both ends of the spectrum. I've negotiated contracts here in Saddlebrook for the paraprofessionals and the administrators. And in Garfield, I just finished negotiating a contract for the teachers. And what's really looked at is the county average. Right now, the county average for teachers is about 2.7%. And you hope to be somewhere around there. If the union is not being fair, then you can't settle the contract. And if the board is not being fair, teachers aren't going to settle the contract, or the union's not going to settle the contract. So it comes down to fairness. You have to decide what's fair. I think not having a contract doesn't benefit anyone. It creates bad morale with the teachers and the staff, whoever's without the contract. And truth be told, the board wants to settle a contract as well. We want to come to a fair and equitable agreement. So I think it benefits both parties to have the contract settled and to try to make everybody happy, but they say good negotiations, nobody's happy. So, thank you.
What will you do to ensure and fix the safety of the playgrounds at the elementary schools, since there have been many incidents where children are breaking bones and losing teeth and the playgrounds are not up to code? And let's start with Mr. Accomando.
Well, that falls upon your buildings and grounds. They need to step up. If there is an issue, if there's guidelines to be followed, they need to follow them. The last thing you want is liabilities in your district. They should be looked at, if not weekly by the principal, monthly by your buildings and grounds supervisor. That's something that's not a laughing matter. It could be a bone breaking up growth plate. So that's something that should be looked at either weekly or once a month by your buildings and grounds supervisor.
Mr. Garrick?
Again, that falls under building and grounds, is correct. It's all the facilities. It's not just the playgrounds. It comes down to locker rooms. It comes down to every square inch of the facilities that we have. And they all have to be looked at. They all have to be cared for. There should be a maintenance plan in place for our playgrounds, and that should be followed. And when it's not, we have to ask why, and we do. I did speak to our business administrator about the playgrounds. I mean, I know we had a problem with it. I spoke to a parent regarding it, and it needs to be addressed, as well as every other piece of the facilities. Thank you.
Mr. White?
Obviously, the safety of the children matters most. At all schools, there should be a mandated regulation of inspection where the equipment that is being used every day by the children is inspected and deemed safe for the children to use. As a student who was in elementary school, I personally was in recess while my best friend broke his neck. Luckily, he made a full recovery, and thank God for that. But it wasn't necessarily bad practice with school equipment. However, student injuries are devastating. And not only can the school district be liable for an injury like that, but having a student injured over something that's so easily preventable is just, it's truly, it's devastating.
Ms. Robinson?
Excuse me, back in, I believe it was 1999, was it, Sue? I was a PTA president, along with someone in the audience and the other schools, when we put the playgrounds in. We did all the fundraising to do that, and part of the agreement was that the board would be responsible for making sure that the mulch or whatever was underneath would be kept up to speed, and that was a long time ago. So I would hope that with buildings and grounds and with budgeting, that the playgrounds get inspected, that they're up to code, that the mulch or whatever they put underneath, I don't know what you call it, is up to, you know, the right amount of inches, that it's maintained, and that it's something that is guaranteed to be done on a regular basis and be part of the regular maintenance of the buildings and grounds department. I think the safety of the children is number one, and the playground should be safe. Thank you.
Mr. Zottarelli?
I agree that the safety of the children comes first. I feel everyone should work together. If there's a problem, no matter who sees it, they should report it. Come to a Board of Ed meeting, go to the principal. If the principal don't notice it, tell the teacher, let her go to the principal. I mean, if it's a safety issue, it should be everyone looking out for it. And if the principal don't catch it, then if a parent catches it or an aide catches it, anybody catches it, they should report it and keep in contact. So that's where communications comes in.
Okay. What qualities separate you from the other candidates and make you a better choice than them? And we'll start with Mr. Zottarelli.
Well, I try to communicate with everyone. I try to be honest. I'll tell you the truth all the time, no matter what happens. On the board, legally, some things you can't explain, but as much as possible, I'll be transparent and honest.
Okay. Mr. White?
Well, putting aside the fact that I'm only 26 years old, I'm exceptionally experienced. I've been a teacher for 5 years. I have my master's degree in education. I am a teacher. I was a student here. I live in the town. I've lived in the town my entire life. I absolutely love this town. Whether it be students that I coach currently, or if I wouldn't be able to coach, but students that are currently in the school district, staff that I know that are in the school district, parents that I know who have children that are in the school district. I genuinely care about everybody in this town, okay? And I will work tirelessly to make sure that you guys are happy and that you are proud of the school district that you're sending your children to.
Mr. Accomando?
Separates would be my character, my transparency. I'm not a politician, I'm a dad. I'm not using this as a stepping stone. Again, I'm not a yes man. I'm here to collaborate with 8 other board members, a BA, and a superintendent to do what's right for our kids, our community. And I'll continue to do that. I love doing this. I love helping make a difference. And thank you.
Mr. Garrick?
I think based on my my education and my experience, I'm extremely knowledgeable. I'm dedicated to the students. I'm going to work for every single student in this district, from the top performing to that student that struggles. And I'm not going to speak to anybody else as far as what they bring to the table. I'm hardworking, I'm honest, I'm respectful, I'm responsible. That's what I bring to the table. Thank you.
And Ms. Robinson?
For me, I really, really care about this town. I care about the kids. I care about the community. I've been in service in some form or another for 20 years here through PTA or foundation. I get nothing out of this. But just to know that I'm trying to make a difference and trying to help whichever way I can. I'm hardworking, I'm dedicated, honest, committed. I'm a team player. I try to see the big picture. I'm a global thinker. I don't, as much as we have to deal with the the everyday in and outs, but I look at the big picture and the plan and the mission and the vision. That's important to me, and be able to get there however we need to.
Okay. Do you feel that the district goals have the district moving in the right direction? Why or why not? And let's start with Mr. Garrick.
Okay, I went through the district goals, obviously. I wasn't here when they were approved, unfortunately, or fortunately. I was in South Carolina with my girlfriend on vacation, so I wasn't here when the district goals were approved. The first district goal is to get parents more involved, and I feel that that is extremely important that we do hear from the parents, and we find out what their concerns and needs are. As well as the second goal, which was the technology, increasing our technology, having effective technology for our students and for the district is extremely important. Working on the PARCC, that's our third goal, which is the math and language arts sections, and excelling in that area is also extremely important district goal. Delivery and evaluation of the curriculum and lesson planning is also extremely important. That's our fourth goal. I'm going to try to get through all five. Obviously, that's extremely important that we are evaluating our programs and making sure that they are effective for our students, and the programs that aren't effective for our students, we need to look at them and see what we could do to improve them or to look at something else. The last one is obviously making sure that our students are career and college ready. Every student should have a plan when they exit this school district, whether it's going into the military, whether it's going to a university. I'm getting the stop sign. So, am I the first one?
Thank you.
That's good.
Wow, all right.
Mr. Zattarelli.
Well, obviously, I'm not on the board, so I'm not real familiar with the goals they put in place, but from what I heard from Dave, I agree with the goals, and hopefully I can continue.
Mr. Accomando.
I believe the goals have been working for the last 3 years with the present board and past board, what have you. Just in reference to the test scores, the school ranking, the morale, and I think they just got to continue to come with goals that we can reach and continue doing what we're doing. And the sky's the limit for the district. I think it's going great.
Ms. Robinson?
The district goals are created in the summertime, and that's how we judge our superintendent in trying to reach those goals. I don't know them off the top of my head. I have looked at them, but they pretty much focus on student achievement, on moving the district forward, parent and technology, all that Dave had mentioned. The goals really are specific to our district's needs, and every year that can be different. Our goals this year, I wasn't part of creating them, and I'm not really sure of exactly where they're going, but I think that having really good district goals in place is really important. And it really depends on the superintendent and what the district feels is the most important thing moving forward.
Mr. White?
Everything really comes back to student achievement. Okay, so all of these goals, they're ultimately put in place so that the students are put in a better position to be successful when they get older. Obviously, parental involvement is paramount in that, and the studies that have been done that show student performance and how it correlates to parental involvement are absolutely astounding. Luckily, as someone who grew up in Saddlebrook, that really has never been a problem. You guys who are parents, you are amazing. You are very active in your child's lives, and we appreciate that. Other than that, we do need to be very transparent to all of the stakeholders, which are not only staff, administration, but members of the community. You should know what curriculum is being taught to your children. You should be able to look it up and decide for yourself whether or not you think it's good. And you knowing that can ultimately help you become more involved in your child's lives. Other than that, technology, whatever you want to call us, millennials or whatever you will, we are dependent on technology, and the world is really dependent on people being fluent in technology. So we need to give our children the opportunity to become fluent in that language of technology so that they can prosper when they get older. And obviously, them doing well on the PARCC test is supposed to correlate to how well they are doing and how ready they are for college and their careers.
Okay. This is going to be our last question. So much effort and time go into prepping for the PARCC testing. Science, social studies, and electives like music and physical education are pushed to the side. Do you think we should bring some focus back to these important subjects? And let's start with Mr. White.
Absolutely. You definitely need those special subjects. Science is exceptionally important, as well as social studies. You need to know what happened in the past to understand where you're going in the future. Specials, as we call them, like physical education and music and art, are obviously exceptionally important as well, because you're not judged as successful because you're good at language arts or because you're good at math. Not all jobs have to do with reading or doing math. Okay, so if we offer opportunities for students to become fluent and successful at things that aren't just language arts and mathematics, then we are giving our kids a better opportunity to succeed. It's very difficult because, unfortunately, administration does want their children to do well in tests and do well in these subjects because they are graded personally based on how these children do. But it's a problem that administrators are faced with. They do want the children to become fluent in these other special subjects, but at the same time, they are trying to cover their own. They are trying to make sure the students do well in these subjects so that they do well on their reviews, because you do care about your own job when you're doing things like this. We need to stop trying to convince teachers to teach to the test, and we really want them to just encourage children to become smarter in every facet.
Okay. Ms. Robinson.
Prepping for the PARCC is part of what we do in a general sense, but students need to be well balanced. They need to have art, music. Science is a tested subject in 4th, 8th, and in biology. So that also is a test, but that's through the New Jersey Ask and not the PARCC. Children need to be well-rounded, balanced. They need to have outlets, sports, music. Everything like that is very, very important. And I think being a district that does offer these electives and does have a lot of those various arts in place is very important. We have a great photography department. We have wonderful art teachers. We have wonderful music teachers, the band. It's all wonderful, and I think we do focus on those things, and they are important. And I don't think we're just teaching for the test. So I hope we continue that and even improve on it, because not everyone is, as they call it, book smart. They're smart in other ways, and they have different intelligences. Thank you.
Mr. Garrick.
When I started in college, the first 60 credits I took were in all these different subject areas. I think it makes a student more well-rounded when they're exposed to all the specials, whether it's music, art, social studies, whatever the subjects are, and it contributes to your overall education and who you become in education. So I think it's important that we do grasp all of the different subject areas and make them all extremely important for our students. Thank you.
Mr. Accomando.
I agree with the first statement Mr. White said. There should be equality in all subjects, because there's kids that will flourish in English language arts, but they won't flourish in science, or some will flourish in science and not math. So I think it's good, maybe it could boost their confidence to either go in for that extra help or dig a little deeper. But I think it's definitely important.
Mr. Zattarelli.
I agree with everyone here. I think they should add more electives because, as we know, all students aren't college-bound. So they need to learn other skills. Maybe they should put some auto mechanic shop in, or anything that, can help them get along after they get out of school.
Okay. We're now at the closing statements of the candidates. They're going in reverse order to their opening statements, and we start with Angela Robinson.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for attending tonight, and for everyone who made it possible. We appreciate it. I want everyone to know that I am committed to being an honest, responsible trustee for the Board of Education, working toward raising student achievement, representing the community, and setting high standards for all of us. I offer my experience in education and dedication to the town to all of you. Together we can make great things happen here. We tend to focus on the negative, but wonderful things are happening here in Saddlebrook. We need to celebrate these accomplishments and recognize our teachers, staff, and administrators for the hard work and commitment to our children. Again, I will be dedicated and committed to all of you to raise the bar and continue the progress we have made and bring back stability and pride in our community. Thank you, and please vote for me on November 8th. And just an aside, if you're away, we do not have school that week. Please fill out a mail-in ballot as soon as you can, so you can vote ahead of time, so don't forget that. Or if you know anyone who'll be away. I appreciate all your attention, and thank you very much.
Mr. Accomando.
First, I'd like to thank Ms. Scanapieko for her time on the board, because she's not rerunning, but I've learned a lot from her. In the past, I've learned a lot from Ms. Nasello. She was an excellent board president. I would love to mimic what they do. They fight for our kids, they fight for the community, they fight for the teachers. I feel I do the same thing. I love doing what I do, making a difference. Up here I'm the underdog. It's 3 against 2, 3 against 1. So hopefully the underdog, could win it again. I'm not affiliated with any party. I'm Michael Accomando, parent, dad, running for the Board of Ed. Thank you.
Mr. Garrick.
I came here today to provide you with a better understanding of who I am and what I can offer as a Board of Education member. I am very knowledgeable, hardworking, and honest. If elected, I want to continue to work for all the students of Saddlebrook. We need to use our resources in an effective and responsible manner so our students can be successful with no undue burden to the taxpayers. With your support, we can work together to improve the quality of education for every student in Saddlebrook. Thank you for this opportunity, and have a good night.
Joseph Zattarelli.
Thank you. In closing, I would like to say, if I am elected, I will be 100% honest and transparent as the rules allow me to be. I will help to create and enforce policies to ensure the safety of our students and staff. I will be dedicated to hold the students, staff, and administration accountable for their actions. I will never support privatization. I will base each and every vote I cast on facts and personal belief and keep politics out of education. While I do believe the Board of Education and the town should work together, they are 2 separate entities and should be treated as such. Thank you for all coming, and thank you for your support, and please remember to vote November 8th, position 2.
Timothy White.
Thank you all for being here and taking the time out of your nights to listening to these candidates speak. I do want to echo what some of these people have said. Please go out and vote. Your vote genuinely matters. In a small town election, your vote certainly matters. So please, regardless of who you vote for, go out and vote. Vote for the 3 people that you think will do the best job. I love this town. And as a member of this town, frankly, I am a little sick of people unfairly and inaccurately giving us a stigma of a not great school district. I think we are a great school district. I know we are. I know we have very smart and very capable students, and we have very smart and very capable teachers, all the way up to administrators. We need to make sure that students and children in this town don't want to leave the school district when high school comes. We want them to be proud to finish in the Saddlebrook School District and represent their town in academic challenges, in the classroom, on the sports fields, and be proud of the Falcon logo that they wear every day. I want to make sure that the parents are proud to send their kids to the Saddlebrook School District, and I want the kids to be proud to graduate from Saddlebrook High School. Thank you very much, and please go out and vote.
Okay, before you clap, I just want to make a few announcements. I did bring along 2 applications for absentee ballots. If anybody needs any others, you can go online. to any of the League of Women Voter websites, also on the vote411.org website, where you can learn about the backgrounds and answers to questions that were posed to the candidates running for county office for congressional district, and I think you might be in 5, but I'm not sure. You could find out if you put your address into the site. I do want to thank the people who made all the arrangements. They were great. Everyone had their own microphone. I've been places where there was only one for 7 candidates. So, and I do think you have a hard choice voting for 3 candidates for your Board of Ed. But you know, think about and watch on TV again. You could watch the whole thing all over again if you wish. And now, a round of applause for the candidates.
Are we dismissed?
And you can also, if you want to ask the candidates individually,